I'm recording. Chikaya here, Hera here, Tamara here, and Destiny here, Elize here, and Tamiz here, Diana here, and Jada here, and Zania here, and Asia here, and Kiara here. Okay, good. Zania, all right, Zania, welcome back. And I'm sharing the screen for your schedule. Hold on. Today is April 27th, and I will present chapter 15 and issues and trend in early childhood education. And for this Thursday is the last class for this semester. So, and Destiny and Jikaya will present and peer teaching demonstration. And teaching philosophy statement and the final draft due on this Thursday. And EFE verification form and EFE report. Please upload your on the Dropbox and your assignment folder. And also, and final exam is available on the Blackboard. So it is due on May 5th at the end of the day. So today, you know, and department chairperson and Dr. Rauser monitored this class. Please open your video if possible, and please you know show your photo on the screen. All right. Okay. Stop to share. And I will show you a grade and updated grade so far, and you will monitor your grade. And I have a black screen on your name for your private information and privacy. All right. And I'm sharing the screen. And this column and column D is attendance point and 10% of your final grade, final let grade. And your presentation score, this is a peer teaching demonstration. And first open book and second open book, statement of teaching philosophy. I will update when I have your you know final draft on this Thursday. This is EFP report. And you missed this part and assignment, and you also missed the EFP report, this one. So it was due on last you know last Thursday. So, and final exam, so I will put on 90% of a final exam. So you will guess your final let grade here. You see? So you will see your final, you know, grade. So, and you know, this one, and 9, for example, and 9, the average score. So you will see final retrograde here. So please double check your missed assignment, and please upload as soon as possible if you missed. So it is the last call for your learning goal. All right. All right. If you have any questions about your grade, please stay on the line after class. I'm sharing the screen.
And early childhood educators must know about, and whether you are early childhood educators and researchers as parents or preschool teachers. or someone who simply care about young children and keeping an eye on contemporary challenges and trends. The childhood education is a good way to inform ways to improve the quality of early childhood education in the future. However, knowing the latest challenges immensely doesn't always mean we know how to best guide early childhood educators. This is why realization and acknowledgement of challenges and prospects in early childhood education are so critical and urgent. This is how we find appropriate and effective ways to move forward in early childhood education. I will start with the challenges in early childhood education first. All right. The COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in monumental changes to education, especially early childhood education throughout the world. According to the UNESCO this year, nearly 90% of the world's student population, over 1.5 billion learners in 165 countries, have had their learning experiences disrupted seriously by policies and disinfection guidelines implemented to slow down the spread of a COVID-19 virus. In fact, this pandemic has led to unprecedented and dramatic changes in the lives of children and their parents, family members, pre-service and in-service teachers of young children, and early childhood teachers and researchers as well. According to EDUC annual report that this year, the COVID-19 pandemic has also pushed the early childhood education system to the verge of a collapse and mobilized leading early childhood organizations to advocate for the COVID-19 financial packages to protect early childhood education. We move forward. The medical research suggests that COVID-19 is not children's disease because up to this point, there are few confirmed cases of coronavirus in the young and even among children the disease. And fatality rate has been extremely low. So COVID-19 not only suspended normal childhood activities such as attending school and interacting with extended family and friends, playing outdoors and exploring nature, but also disrupted the consequent social-emotional benefits that accrue from children's engagement in this experience. So children are inherently vulnerable because they are, depending on their parents and major caregivers to have their most basic needs met, and particularly for children who are living in poverty, chronically ill, have disabilities, experience housing and food insecurity, while reside in remote areas are marginalized by mainstream society, such as immigrant families, or not, or they are suffering from the neglect and abuse too. In addition, domestic violence problem have been exacerbated by COVID-19 pandemic. The second topic I want to share my challenges is achievement gap in the United States. I would like to identify, children's academic achievement gap in the United States in traditional measures of school success, and there is an extensive documentation of African American and Latino children, as well as children from low-income families, and trailing Caucasian and Asian children, and children from wealthier families. Although these data are not fully verified, they list a lot of U.S. children's strengths and potential. These findings are strong indicators of American future challenges and prospects in early childhood education settings. Furthermore, NAUI's position statement on DAP continually has been highlighting the need of early childhood education to be major force for reducing achievement gap. The achievement gap results from inequitable opportunities provided to U.S. children, parents, families, communities. As a result, early childhood educators and teacher researchers should and must do far more to equalize educational opportunities to learn for all children. Okay, this is another statistics conducted by NAUIC 2019. They pointed out several key themes and issues. There are several topics inside of these statistics. First one was public school access, part-day preschool, limited universal access to preschool, and kindergarten retention disparities, and suspension of preschool children. So I highlight that's the three key things. At first, this chart shows preschool discipline. This chart is based on U.S. Department of Education Office for Civil Rights, 2011, 12, and 14. And shows preschool students out of school suspension by ethnic background. These suspensions are strongly correlated to children's disruptive behaviors and asocial and or aggressive behavior problems, and lack of social skills such as communication with others. This chart also shows that suspension rate is also disproportionately higher for boys than for girls. It is interesting thing to see kindergarten retention rate. So kindergarten children in kindergarten, and they have a retention or suspension. It is one of embraced things, I think. Since 1993, the percentage of children in kindergarten through the 3rd to 3rd grade and who have been repeated the grade is stayed relatively stable in 2016. The grade retention rate was 4.3%. In 2018, Hispanic children were more likely than non-Hispanic children to have a repeated grade in primary school at 7 to 2%. Children in household with incomes at or below and at the poverty level were more likely to repeat the grade, and 8% than those households with a higher income at 3%. So the chart illustrates the African American and Hispanic and Latino children are seriously exposed to problem of educational achievement gap in reading, math, and science. Okay. And third challenges I want to highlight today is politics and early childhood education. Education should be education, and politics should be politics. But politicians are likely to use education as a tool for them, or as a way to maintain their political power. This is not really desirable, and it should not be. For example, as Donald Trump's Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, has made it her mission to dismantle public education system. She has promoted the privatization of public schools through vouchers and continually calls for a big budget cut to federal funding, and rolls back protections for the vulnerable children and completely disregard children's educational rights and the safety of educators during COVID-19 pandemic. So in American history, and we have a Head Start program in 1967, and No Child Left Behind, and George Bush ministry in 2001, Race to the Top, and Clinton and Obama ministry in 2005 and 2009. And Betsy DeVos has modified and revoked these programs to a federal funding system. As mentioned before, American early childhood policies and standards have been strongly influenced by political decision makers. In my personal opinion, education should be given entirely to educators and competent professionals. In addition, if possible, education and educational policies should not constantly shift with leadership change and political party ideals, and therefore, the field of education should block political pressure and should not be allowed to use as a tool of political wrangling. I believe that the decision will be made by discourse or debate with educators and students, parents, community members, not politicians only. All right. Fourth theme I want to add for the challenges for the future early childhood education is a certified and qualified early childhood education teachers. And childcare and preschools are increasingly showing preference toward the applicant with a valid bachelor's degree in the field, while an associate degree in early childhood education may provide the entry-level opportunities in some areas. In advanced degree, generally attract the higher compensation, may make a difference between receiving an employment market. Most public school systems require that lead teachers in preschool program have a bachelor's degree. Head Start program, however, typically will accept the applicant an associate degree in early childhood education. And CDA or CCPC may be required to teach preschool in some states. These trends are likely to have a significant effect on the working conditions and job opportunities available for college graduates in the early childhood education. By pursuing this career path, preschool teachers and child care provider can make a positive impact on young children and can ensure the best possible foundation for future academic growth and success. So this chart shows that percentage of children enrolled in preschools with more than 20% of teachers not yet certified by student race and ethnicity. This is another chart I want to share. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 2020, preschool teachers held about 540,400 jobs in 2019. The largest employers of preschool teachers were child care services at 62%, and religious, grant marketing, civic, professional, and similar organizations, and 16%. Elementary and secondary schools, state, local, and private level, and 14%, and individual and family services, and 2%, and others. Lack of certified teachers is one of the significant challenges to improve the quality of early childhood education in the United States. Okay, last one I want to share is child abuse. The child abuse and neglect is one of the serious issues and crisis in early childhood education. According to U.S. Children's Defense Fund in 2015, more than 3.5 million children were reported for child abuse and neglect at the rate of one child every 30 seconds. It is really serious. More than 80% of victims are abused by one or two parents. And there are several types of abuse and neglect, such as physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, and sexual abuse, and neglect. Neglect, the definition of neglect refers to, include unsuitable clothing for weather, and dirty and unbathed, and extremely, hunger and, lack of supervision. Unprepared, unqualified parents, family members, strangers, and childcare teachers and preschool teachers may be carrying out these kind of abuse and neglect. It is clear that the abuse and neglect of children are not limited to social, racial, and socioeconomic status. Ironically, it is happening to children at all levels of a social spectrum. Therefore, all and every early childhood educators and administrators, politicians, and researchers must come up with practical and authentic alternatives, such as a strong legal punishment or mandatory parental education and training programs to protect our children from the child abuse and neglect. This challenge exists not only in the United States, but also in many countries around the world. All right. Second session, I present prospectus in the future early childhood education, which way to go. First theme for the future prospect in early childhood education is about ethic of social reform in early childhood education. Ethic of social reform refers to an expectation that education has potential for bringing out a significant social change and improvements. I strongly believe that early childhood education will lead social change and improvement in the near future. For example, many early childhood education pioneers in the United States, such as Maria Montessori, she was from Italy and settled down in the United States, and Macmillan Sisters, and Patty Smith Hill, and Marian Wright Edelman, and Abigail Elliott, and they contributed to improvements in children's lives through a comprehensive approach to education. About 50 years ago, Marian Wright Edelman created the Children's Defense Fund, which is continuing the effort started nearly on 100 years ago. Another example I would like to introduce is Louis Derman-Sparks and his colleagues. They raised the issue of bias, prejudice, and discrimination when they published the anti-bias curriculum in 1989 and challenges our thinking about bias as a social issue for young children in the United States. Second topic I want to share is artificial intelligence versus education in nature. AI and technology is an ongoing trend and newly emerging issue in early childhood education, as it is in pretty much every industry in the world. Only a few years ago, early childhood educators had to decide how to teach in the era of artificial intelligence and the digital environment in the early childhood education classroom. Whether you like it or not, AI and technology and device usage by young children are reality of the life these children are facing now. Children hold digital device and use online platforms at a really young age and are spending more and more time in front of a small screens instead of analog approaches and outdoor activities. So, on the other hand, many American early childhood educators are pursuing early childhood education with nature rather than adapting to the new digital teaching method. For example, the forest kindergarten movement. I think it is popular in Korea too. So the forest kindergarten movement was proposed by Waldorf School and many early childhood educators in Scandinavian countries such as Sweden and Norway and Denmark. And they believe that it is more desirable for children to learn the basic principles of life through nature than to learn from the virtual experience in the restricted indoor space. As a basis for this argument, they proposed the results of brain research. The frontal lobe became more active when they learning through the natural object than when children are learning using digital devices, and had a positive impact on creative thinking and effective on cognitive development. The debate about these two different approaches in early childhood education is still ongoing. My personal view is that it is desirable to provide young children with a balanced digital and analog education curriculum together. The development of early childhood courses and diverse curriculum that harmonize the advantage of a digital education and analog education is expected to be an important task for the early childhood educators in the future. All right, third topic I bring is STEM issue in early childhood education. On April 21st, 2016, NAUIC, along with many other educational organizations, researchers, and thought leaders, helped to kick off the White House Early Learning STEM Initiative. The initiative seeks to promote the early learning STEM works of local organizations, advocacy groups and associations, philanthropies, and businesses. The aim is to increase the research base about young children's STEM learning and support educators and child care providers and families in engaging meaningful STEM learning, and promote partnership with the museum and zoos and any other community resources, and increase equitable access and opportunity for all children. These STEM curriculum allow children various opportunities and experiences throughout the day to engage in STEM concepts. So, last key topic for prospect for the future early childhood education in the United States is steady growth in early childhood education in the United States. As more American parents become aware of a positive impact of quality early childhood program for the future for their children, increase the participation and steady employment for the qualified preschool teachers are expected to continue. In the late of 2014, the U.S. Department of Education predicted that more than 60,000 children would be served by early childhood education centers in 2015. This expectation can be attributed in part to the $250 million in funding provided in 2014 under the preschool department grant program associated with Race to the Top in Clinton and Obama ministry. In 2015, the PDGP initiated disbursed more than $237 million in support of early childhood education programs in 18 states in the United States. Given this trend, the United States administration and state governments are expected to continue to expand their interest and invest in early childhood education in the future. All right. My presentation today describes the challenges and prospects of a future early childhood education in the United States. In first section, I summarized the challenges such as COVID-19 and children's health and safety issue. And second, educational achievement gap. And third, politics and early childhood education. And fourth, and qualifications of early childhood education teachers. And last, and I deal with the child abuse and neglect issue. In the second section, I deal with the prospects of early childhood education in the United States. At first, acting over social reform through education. And second, artificial intelligence and education with nature. And third, STEM in early childhood education. And last, steady growth in early childhood education. There are several topics I did not present and deal with you today, such as greater focus on sports and outdoor activities, and multicultural education, and partnership between home and early childhood education and institutions. I hope I have another chance to share my research ideas and treatment.
Okay, and we reviewed the current trend and issues in early childhood education based on my presentation in the international conference and challenges and prospects. All right, so please summarize your video summary and report and upload on your own folder and assignment folder. It is a part of your activity and participation point. So again, before we dismiss the class, and I'm sharing the screen for the schedule and grade again, because some student, attended this class a little bit late. So today is April 27th, and we successfully complete all chapters in early childhood education and intro class. And on this Thursday, and Destiny and Jikaya will present the peer teaching demonstration. Yeah, it is the last meeting, in this spring semester. So please attend on time on this Thursday. So if you missed to upload the EFE report and EFE verification form, so please, remember, we have two requirements. EFE report. It is 2 to 3 page long of the essay assignment. And EAP verification form is an official document to verify you successfully complete the EFE requirement and 10 official hours from this class. And also, teaching philosophy and final draft due on this Thursday. And final exam is available on the Blackboard. So it is due on May 5th and end of day. All right. If you have any questions, and please just stay on the line. And if you have any question about your grade and your personal question about assignment and test, please stay on the line. So thank you so much for coming today, and I will see you on this Thursday.